Chapter 1. When we first met. Some love stories start with fireworks, mine started with rain. It was the first week of July. The sky was full of grey clouds and cold wind touched my face. I had just reached a small hill town to join School of Arts, a place where people turns feelings into paintings. I didn't come here to become famous. I come here to find peace. My name is Ria, a quiet girl who loves to draw. I notice everything and maybe I feel too much. That evening it was raining softly. I held my umbrella. Music was playing in my ears and my sketchbook was close to my heart. As I climbed the old stairs to the studio, I saw someone standing alone. A boy, leaning on the railing, eyes closed, wearing a black hoodie. He looked calm, almost like he was a part of the rain. Then he opened his eyes. He looked at me, and for one moment, everything else disappeared. Some eyes don't just see you, they look into your soul. He didn't speak, just gave a small nod, but I felt something strange, as if I knew him, as if our story had already started. Later, I heard his name was Arav, top artist in the college, smart, quiet, mysterious, and no one really knew him. That night, while I was setting my art tools in the studio, I saw a painting behind an old shelf. It was covered with a white cloth. I pulled it out just to see, and I froze. It was a painting of a girl. Her eyes, her face, her smile. It looked exactly like me. At the bottom, one small letter was written A. How can someone paint your face before they have even met you? I asked some people, but no one gave a clear answer. Some just smiled and walked away. That painting confused me. Next morning, I was sitting under a big tree sketching the rain. Arak walked by. He stopped, looked at my drawing, then looked at me, and finally he said something. You draw like it's a dream. He smiles softly and walked away, leaving me there with a fast heartbeat and new feeling I couldn't explain. That's how it all began. A boy, a painting, and a mystery that felt like love. Maybe I had met him before, in a dream, or maybe in a story waiting to be written. Chapter 2. The Stranger. They say the people who smile the least often carry the most pain. Ara was like a puzzle, calm on the outside but full of hidden pages inside. He wasn't rude, but he never let anyone get too close. In the college, people whispered about him. Some said he had a dark past. Some said he was once in love. And one name kept coming back, Jihu. Jihu was a student here just last year. Beautiful, smart, and missing. No one knew exactly what happened. One day she was here smiling in the studio and then gone, disappeared. No goodbyes, no answers. The painting I found, the one that looked like me, it started to feel more than just strange. It felt personal. I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I went back to the studio the next night alone. And this time I found something new. Behind the shelf, on a dusty ledge, there was another canvas, torn, half burned, and on the edge of it, written in faded paint, I see her everywhere. That night, I didn't sleep. Next morning, in class, I sat next to Arav. He didn't look at me, just kept sketching. I watched his hand, So fast, so focused. And then suddenly, he stopped, tore the page out, and threw it in the bin. When he left, I quickly opened the paper. It was a sketch. A girl with my face, but this time her eyes were full of tears. Who was this girl? Why did she look like me? And why was Arav drawing her again and again? Later that day, I saw him sitting alone on the college rooftop, staring at the hills, lost in thoughts. I sat beside, quietly. After a long silence, I finally asked, "Did you know Jihu?" He turned to me. His face was unreadable. Everyone knew Jihu, but no one really knew her. He looked at me again, this time longer. Some faces, they came back, even when you try to forget. And with that, he left, leaving behind 1,000 questions in my heart. I didn't know what scared me more, the mystery of Jihu or the way I was slowly falling for a boy who felt like a storm waiting to happen. Chapter 3, Love in Stolen Moments. Some love stories don't start with big confessions, they grow slowly. In stolen glance, quiet laughs, and shared silence. After that night, something changed between me and Arav. We didn't talk much, but when our eyes met, it felt like we were already having a conversation. He started sitting next to me in the studio, sometimes sketching, sometimes just watching me draw. He never spoke about Jihu again, but the distance between us was getting smaller. One evening, he brought 2 cups of coffee, no words, placed one beside me. I looked at him and smiled. He smiled back, and that smile, it stayed in my heart longer than any painting can ever could. We began walking together after class, not always talking, just walking. Some days he had point to the clouds and say, "That one looks like a wolf." Other days I had tell him my silly dream, like opening a small art cafe by the sea. And he had say, "I had come there every day if the coffee is free." I laughed, and slowly I forgot the fear. One night we stayed late in the studio. Everyone else had gone. Rain was falling softly outside, tapping on the windows. He played a song on his phone, a soft tune without lyrics. We both sat on the floor, painting on the same canvas. No rules, no plans, just colors. Blending into each other's, he looked at me and said, "You bring peace to chores." And I whispered, "And you bring colors to silence." For a moment, it felt like the world outside didn't exist. It wasn't a big kiss under the stars, it wasn't fireworks or music. But in that quiet room, with wet paint and soft rain, I think I fall in love. Few days later, the college arranged a trip to nearby hilltop to sketch the sunrise. Everyone was busy setting up, but I stood alone, cold, quiet, waiting. Then I felt a warm jacket placed on my shoulders. It was Arav's. He came beside me and whispered, "Sunrises are meant to be shared." We stood together, watching the sky turn pink and gold. He held my hand gently. No pressure, no drama, just warmth. Sometimes love doesn't scream, it just holds you softly in stolen moments, in quiet eyes, in the shapes between two broken hearts. Chapter 4, The Locked Diary. Sometimes love feels like a dream, but some dreams come with a warnings. Arav and I were getting closer, but the more I cared about him, the more I wanted to understand him. There was still something in his eyes, stories he didn't share, and one name I couldn't forget, Jihu. One rainy evening, Arav left his bag in the studio by mistake. He had gone for a phone call. I was alone, and something inside me said, "Look." I didn't want to interfere in his privacy, but I want to know. Inside me, a quiet whisper that gets louder when you are in love. Inside the bag was a small silver key, and in his drawer, I found a black diary locked. My hands were shaking, but I used the key. It clicked, and the pages inside changed everything. The diary wasn't Arav's, it was Jihu's. Her handwriting was soft, flowing like a poem, but her words were full of pain. He sees me like no one else, but sometimes it scares me. There's something about the way he draws me, like he's trying to trap my soul on the canvas. I think I am falling for someone I shouldn't. Page by page, Jihu's voice grew louder, more afraid, more broken. And then this line: "If I disappear, please don't trust anyone, not even him." I dropped the diary, my breath caused in my throat. What did she mean? Was she talking about Arav? Was I falling for the same person who broke her? Or was there more to this story than anyone ever knew? A few minutes later, Arav walked in. I quickly locked the diary and placed it back. He looked at me, his voice calm, but his eyes sharp. "Everything okay?" I nodded, lied. "Yes, just waiting for you." But inside me, 100 questions screamed. That night, I stared at the ceiling of my hostel room. My heart wanted to believe him, but Jihu's words kept echoing in my mind. Not even him. How do you trust someone whose smile feels like home, but whose past feels like a warning? I didn't know the truth yet, but I had just opened the first door, and behind it was a story darker than love. Chapter 5: A Game of Mask. Everyone wears a mask, some to hide pain, some to hide truth. After reading Jihu's diaries, I started seeing things differently. Ara was still kind, still soft with me, but now I looked deeper. Every smile I questioned, every silence I feared, every sketch I wondered if it was hiding something. One evening, I followed him, not because I wanted to spy, but because I wanted to feel safe. He left the studio and walked towards the old storage building behind the college, a place students rarely visited. Dark, cold, locked for years, but Arav had a key. He went inside, stayed there for an hour. When he came out, he looked differently, like he had cried or destroyed something. That night, I returned there. The door was slightly open. Inside were old paintings, broken frames, torn canvas, and in the middle of the room, a big covered object. I pulled the cloth, a large painting of Jihu, but her face was scratched out. I stepped back, and then I heard a sound, a footstep. I turned quickly, but no one was there. I ran out, my heart rising, tears filling my eyes. The next day, something even strange happened. My own sketch, the one I drew of Arav, was missing from the exhibition wall. Inside, there was a note: "Art is not always beautiful, sometimes it bleeds." I looked around. Someone was watching me. I could feel it. That night, I found a package outside my hostel door. No name, no notes. Inside was a broken piece of a painting. It was the same canvas I saw in the old room, and on the back, Jihu's initials. Someone didn't want me to forget her. Someone wanted me to feel what she felt. I ran to Arav's room, tears in my eyes, confusion in my voice. Why didn't you tell me about the room? What are you hiding? Arav stood still, his hand and feet, his eyes full of pain. Because I'm scared you will leave too, he said. His voice broke, and for the first time he looked helpless. I didn't hurt Jihu. I know who did. That night the mask fell, not just his, mine too. I loved him, but I was also afraid of him. But now the truth was no longer a painting on the wall. It was a storm waiting to crash over both of us. Some truth don't knock, they break the door open. And once you see them, you can never unsee them again. That night, the clouds were angry, rain hit the windows like a warning, lightning flashed again and again, like the sky was ready to reveal something. I met Arav near the old art studio. He had asked me to come, said he needed to show me something important. He looked pale, eyes tired, hand shaking slightly. You deserve the truth, he said, about Jehus, about me, about everything. We walked into the building together. The light inside flickered. Old paintings stared at us like ghosts. The air smelled of wet papers. Arav opened a small cupboard in the back. Inside was a wooden box. He unlocked it and took out an old USB drive. Jehu, record her thoughts, he said. She was scared, but not of me, of someone else. He plugged the USB into the projector. A video began playing on the wall. Sitting in the same room, tears in her eyes, voice shaking. If anything happens to me, it won't be accident, she said. It was someone close, someone respected, someone who watches everything. Suddenly, the video froze. The lights went out, total darkness, and then a sound behind us, footstep, slow, heavy, real. Before we could move, the studio door slammed shut. We were locked in. My heart pounded. Arav tried to open the door. It won't open. We weren't alone. A voice echoed from the back of the room. You should have left the past, buried Arav. A man stepped forward from the shadows, Professor Vihan, the head of the art department, the same man who always smiled kindly, the same man Jehu trusted. She wanted to leave, he said, walking closer. She found out who I really was, but I couldn't let her renew everything. His eyes were cold, empty, and now you brought her back in Ria. He pulled out a knife, moved towards me. Arav stepped in front. Don't touch her. Vihan laughed. Just like Jihu, you protect, you love, you lose. Suddenly, a struggle. Arav pushed him. They both fell hard. I screamed, tried to pull them apart. A sharp pain. Arav had been cut, blood on his shirt, but he still stood between me and the danger. Just then, loud banging on the door. The guard had seen the lights. They broke in. Vihan tried to run but was caught. The nightmare ended, but not without scars. Aras sat on the floor, bleeding, shaking, but alive. I held him close, tears missing with the rain on his face. Why did you protect me? I asked. He smiled, weak but real. Because you are not Jihu. You are my second chance. Chapter 7. Truth never bleeds quietly. Truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just bleeds quietly into your heart and change everything. After that night, everything moved fast. Professor Vihan was arrested. His crimes, hidden for years, finally came into the light. He had used students for money, control, and power. Jihu had found out. She had tried to expose him, but he silenced her. Ara was cleared of all the charges, but the pain inside him that didn't disappear so easily. He blamed himself for not saving Jihu, for not seeing the truth earlier, for letting fear stop him. He stopped coming to class, stopped sketching, stopped talking. I couldn't let him break, not now. So I went to the old studio, the place where it all began. I found his old canvas, blank, unfinished, and I painted a sunrise on it, bright, gentle, and full of hope. I left a note. You didn't fail her. You loved her the best you could. But I am here now, and you are allowed to leave again. The next day, I found him standing at my door, eyes full of tears, no mask, no walls. I want to try again, he whispered. Not for the world, just for you. That was the first time he smiled, not to hide his pain, but to show his heart. We rebuilt ourselves slowly. Together, we started a small art studio. We named it Jihu. Not as a memory of sadness, but as a promise to tell stories that mattered. We taught kids, we painted dreams, and we lived fully, freely, and finally. One evening, under a golden sky, he held my hand and said, You were never just a part of my story, Ria. You were the ending I never saw coming. I smiled because I had loved a boy full of darkness and still found light inside him. Not all love stories are perfect, but some survive storms and scars. Our was one of them, painted with pain but finished with peace. Chapter 8. Still, I choose you. Some stories don't end, they just become quieter, softer, like a song that stays in your heart forever. 3 years later, the town was still the same, calm, cold, full of stories. But we were different. I had short hair now. He had more laugh lines, and in our small art studio named Jihu, we built a life from broken pieces. Every Sunday, we painted with children's. Every evening, we had tea by the window, and every night, we closed our eyes in peace, knowing we had survived the storm. One afternoon, I found a small box on my sketch table. Inside, a silver ring, shaped like a feather. He stood behind me, nervous. It's not perfect, he said. But then, again, neither am I. I smiled, tears in my eyes, and I whispered the only words that ever truly mattered, and still I choose you. Love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just two people who choose each other even after everything. No mask, no secrets. Just love. A white canvas, two hands painting together. No fears, no past, just color and a future.